Today, Jordan Ryder should be grieving for her daughter, not fighting for her freedom. Members of the jury, today we're going to hear a lot about what happened on July 14, 2018, the day that Parker Page died. But before I talk about what happened that day, I want to talk to you about this person right here. This is Miss Jordan Ryder. She's a young, loving mother of Parker Page. You're going to hear today how Miss Ryder, she missed 6 years of her daughter's life after she was sent away to prison. You're going to hear that those 6 years changed both her and her daughter radically. The evidence will show that while Miss Ryder was in prison, her daughter developed a disease, was diagnosed with a disease called brittle bones disease, or osteogenesis imperfecta. You're going to hear that while Miss Ryder struggled being away from her daughter, Parker, she struggled being diagnosed with this disease. Now, Miss Murray came up here and promised you a lot of things. She promised that you're going to hear how Parker Page was attached to Corbin Dallas, her legal guardian, while Miss Ryder was away. But the evidence will show that that just simply wasn't the case. Corbin Dallas wasn't able to provide a loving, supportive environment for Parker Page. And it's going to become clear that Miss Ryder, when she got out of prison, she wanted nothing more than to reconnect with her daughter, to help her cope with this disease and to make up for all of that lost time. So that's exactly what they did. You'll hear today that Miss Ryder and her daughter were at Calkins Campground on July 14, 2018, to spend time together as mother and daughter reunited. You'll hear that they went up Let-Grown Loop Trail after arriving to the campground and spending some time together. They went up the Let-Grown Loop Trail, and you'll hear that they got into an argument. You're going to hear that they got into an argument, and a hiking staff was seen in Parker Page's hands, and that Miss Ryder, she took that hiking staff away from her daughter. But once again, the prosecution bit off more than they can chew. They won't be able to show you that Miss Ryder did this with hatred in her heart. They won't be able to show you that Miss Ryder wanted to kill her daughter. Members of the jury, it's going to be clear that Miss Ryder, she made it back to the campsite with her daughter. They came off of that trail together. You're going to see how they made it back to that campsite, and while Miss Ryder was preparing dinner, at some point, Parker left the campsite. Miss Ryder, she didn't realize this for a time, and then when she finally did, you'll hear from her that she entered into a frenzy, a panicked search for her daughter all across the campsite. A search that lasted well into the early hours of the next morning, but Miss Ryder, she never found her daughter. She woke up the next morning with a detective standing over her. She was arrested and taken away before she could find out whatever happened to her daughter. Now, the prosecution, they have the burden of proof in today's case. It lies on this table and it will never shift to Miss Ryder. She doesn't have to present a single piece of evidence to show you that she did not commit the aggravated murder of her daughter. The prosecution has that burden. They must prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt. And what that means is that at the end of today's trial, if there are any questions left about what the prosecution has told you, then you must find Miss Ryder not guilty. They have to prove to you that Miss Ryder knowingly caused the death of her 12-year-old daughter. Members of the jury, I believe that by the end of today's trial, when all of the evidence is out on the table, it's going to be clear that Miss Ryder, she loved her daughter deeply. She had just spent 6 years away from her. The last thing that she would have done would have been to lay a hand on her. Members of the jury, at the end of today's trial, the prosecution will have failed to meet their burden of proof, and it will be as clear to you as day that we should not be here. Miss Ryder, she should be grieving for her daughter, not fighting for her freedom.